Hey everyone, it's Wendy and Tami here today. We're sharing half an hour with you, just going over your comments and questions that you've either submitted or that we have had speaking to our authors over the last week. So my name's Wendy Trevathan. I'm a book expert for Natasha and Stuart Denman with the Ultimate 48-Hour Author team. And I'm based here and I look after the Southern Hemisphere, majority Australia and New Zealand. And I have with me here the beautiful Tami Pritchard from the USA, looking after the USA and Canadian clients and future authors, which is you. So if you're watching this live, we'd love to know just by commenting live below, or if you're watching the replay, good on you. Make the comment of replay below. So we have some questions here today that we'd like to share with you and to give our comments around answering those for you. But if you have a burning question that you're wanting to ask us that we can add to our list on our Friday morning Australian or Thursday evening Q&A session, then comment below with your question and we'll add that to our lists each week and help develop your knowledge around your authoring journey. We just love it. Tami and I have, been involved. We're both published authors, done our own books, so hence why we look after you with your questions. So I might hand over, or the first question that we had was from Velsa. Now, it was actually a discussion in the chat group that we thought would turn into a question because we actually we do talk to authors around this. And so the question is, there were a little bit of advice in the chat group, which is really great, but should I forego the urge to edit until I have everything in place?
Yes.
Tami, what do you think?
Yes. Please wait. It's critical, right? To get the bulk of the words down on paper, right? And don't tinker, right? Get it all out there because otherwise it's just going to take forever, right? And it can seem disheartening. Get as much of it out there as you can. I remember when I was writing mine, Wendy, I hit about 22,000 words. I thought I was done. And then I looked at the word count and I thought, oh, it's a really small book, right? But I kind of went straight through, and then I went back in and just added a little bit more body, right? A little bit more, because you don't know, right, how many you're going to have. And so I just kind of basically I had written the skeleton straight through, right? And I went back, but of course, at first I even tinkered with the outline, and we actually have a good video that Nat prepared on tinkering, right? Because you can tinker with it for years and years.
And it actually holds people up. I remember like going from clinical writing or academic writing where we had to, we lose marks if we have a spelling mistake or a grammar, that wasn't clear, or a full stop, etc. So when I used to write assignments for my nursing, I'd tinker, I'd correct along the way because it saved you time at the end. But with creative writing or, your own memoir or your how-to book, you're an expert on your own story. So, and getting it down on paper and out of your head is the number one priority. Of course, with the preparation that we do right at the beginning with our authors, we frame that up so that it's all organized. And I think a lot of people, the reason why they do tinker is because it's the easy thing to do. Sometimes when you're writing about a topic, particularly if it's very sensitive or raw, is that you're trying to avoid writing about that, and it's much easier to do your corrections, etc. So don't do that. I mean, if you're writing it down, we'll actually get it off your chest, and it's up to you whether you include or exclude those parts of your stories. But it does wonders, and we hear this time and time again, writing down your content, particularly if it's a memoir or if you've got a backstory that's a bit traumatic or hurtful, that writing it down is really helpful to you in that process of healing and moving forward. So, and I think, the perfectionists within us, will want to go back and make sure it's right before they actually let anybody else read it, which includes your editor. So, I mean, yeah, what are your thoughts about, that's part of a perfectionism type of trait, is that you do actually want to correct things as you move along? Yeah.
The more I went back and reread what I wrote, then the shoulder devil, right? I have a shoulder angel and a shoulder devil, and the shoulder devil, started, getting at me. I wasn't progressing. I just kind of kept going back and regurgitating. I remember chapter 1, I was like, no, it's not right. Oh, that doesn't sound good. And I wasn't getting anywhere. And that's the beauty of working with mentors like us, Ultimate 48-Hour Author, is Stuart and Nat reminded me, just keep going, right? Go back on it later. And I felt a big sense of accomplishment, right? Even when I hit just those 22,000 words, that I had gotten that much done. But yeah, I was fussing over chapter 1 and really becoming self-critical and overanalyzing perfectionism, and I wasn't making any progress. I felt very defeated, right? It felt really good to flow through when I made that conscious decision to flow through the entire manuscript, first revision, it was a real sense of accomplishment, right? So it's just keep making forward progress.
Yeah.
Right? There's plenty of time for editing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nat talks about, progress over perfection.
Yeah.
Making sure you're keeping momentum, that you are staying consistent with your writing. And like I said at the beginning, like even if you're writing something that may be excluded at the end, at least you're writing it, and there might be something in there that you want to keep in. You might, just by getting into that creative, that mindset and that frame, you'll be surprised once you get in there how much you probably write things that you wouldn't have consciously wanted to write, but it's gold for others. Yeah. So,
and that's the beauty of having a professional editor, as well, right? You got to remember, right? Everybody is hiring. 9 out of 10 authors are hiring professional editors. We certainly are with our programs, and that's their job, so get the basics out there. Just, keep going.
Yeah, that's it. 100%. Yeah. Okay. So the second one, the other 2 questions are really general comments, but we've turned them into a question because we hear that as we're talking to our authors. So the question is, what are the things I need to know about successfully publishing my book? What are the key things? So I often say you don't know, and it's Benner's theory from nursing, is you don't know what you don't know until someone points it out to you and you go, oh, I didn't know that. So having, a system or a checklist, which we do have. When you came into Author Your Way to Riches, you were asked if you're wanting our checklist, that people go through those 80 points. And I can guarantee you there are at least 30 things there on that 80-point checklist that you don't know. You don't know what you don't know until you find out. So some of the things that you do need to know is the differences between traditional and self-publishing. So a lot of people come to us and they don't actually realize the different types of publishing options that you do have. And that's just one of the things. One of the first things, though, is author mindset, and it probably flows on from that first question that we had, is that, it's really important to make sure that your book is actually up there in your top 3 priorities. Because if we know that the things that are in your top 3 priorities get done, you think about your normal day-to-day life. If they're not up there in your top 3, they tend to go back on the back burner, and writing a book is pretty much the same. So what do you think, Tami?
Yeah, the 80-point checklist is phenomenal. That when I got that 80-point checklist was when I knew I needed much more help than I was capable of Googling, right, and figuring out. So it's just a stark reminder. I wanted to put out a professional publication, right? And that required people that were in the genre, that had done it before, and certainly Ultimate 48-Hour Author. It's still self-publishing, right? But it's guided and mentored self-publishing, and we provide all of the resources that you could possibly need, right? Cover design, critical. I had zero idea about a cover design, and the Unpack with Stuart was where I got my book idea, right? But going into mindset, right? I would agree that was the other reason why I needed the coaching and mentoring. And every author that I speak to all day long, every day, right? You're right. If it isn't one of their top 3 priorities in life, right? They're just not ready to hire a professional. Right. So that's why one of our questions when we do talk to prospective authors is, why now, right? Why are we getting on a call together, right? And sometimes it's just not, there is no now, For me, there was a now. It was a slow time in my corporate job at the time. And, I took advantage of that slow season, right? Some people have been thinking about writing a book for 10 years or more, right? And so they just kind of need that encouragement and that accountability. So I needed structure, accountability, publishing, and then to be taught how to leverage it, So, but the professional publishing, how to successfully publish is to get professionals involved. Get professionals involved that do it, have done it, right?
Exactly right. The ones on the board. If you look at the covers behind us, I mean, you just look at them and you go, they're beautiful. That you can pick them up in the bookstore and go, wow, they actually make an impact. So cover design is key. The right title, the right tagline, the back of the book words. I mean, how many people pick up a book and they actually turn it over and they read the back first before they actually choose to buy the book? So there's, and to try and do that by yourself is hard. You'll produce a less than professional product. So by hiring professionals who are experienced in doing this and that have done many, like we've done over 1,100 books now, that have done it time and time again. If you look at the covers, you can see that there are different genres of books, and you can tell by the style of the cover of, what potentially the book has inside it. So, having a really good cover is essential and key. Mindset. I remember going to the seminar and I knew I had the concept of my first book 5 years ago, but I had no idea about how to even organize my thoughts, how to even frame that up correctly, how to actually pin, my words of wisdom and expertise under the framework of those chapters. And getting that framework is correct, because if it's like building a house, if you don't have the right frame, your house is going to fall down and not be any good. So the importance of having that frame at the beginning not only keeps your book flowing, but it also mentally provides that clarity that you're going to cross off chapter 1 and it's going to cover X, Y, and Z. You're going to cross off chapter 2 and it's going to cover X, Y, and Z. It flows logically. It just makes sense. And one of the best ways to find out what you need to know is to come along to one of our seminars.
Yeah.
So what I've put in the comments just below the live here today, the link for our next seminar. So our next seminar is one of the 4 that we do every year on a Saturday. So for those that work 9 to 5 in Australia, you've got a Saturday seminar to come along to. It's on the Friday evening in the US and Canada. So one of the things, if you don't know the things to successfully write and publish your book, is to come along to our free seminar. Take a look at the VIP inclusions there, because they will include that 80-point checklist that we have been speaking about with this question. So the seminar is essential. I didn't know anything about publishing, authoring, how to write a book, how important the cover was, how to even, we begin to talk about the leverage aspect. And even with memoirs, the leverage aspect, I generally talk to authors that even though you're not monetizing your memoir at the beginning, the potential for that to monetize is there, but also your message in your memoir. So who are you writing your memoir for? Yes, it's primarily for yourself, but who is actually going to benefit from your story or from what you've learned about your own life experiences? So leveraging can mean different aspects for different people. So yeah, if you want to come to that seminar, the links are there. If you want to talk to us too, Tami in the US and Canada and myself in Australia, New Zealand, then you can book a call and our links are there below as well. So
Wendy, I wanted to say too that that seminar is primarily, it's called a nonfiction writing seminar, right? Which is why we call the registrants ahead of time to just find out what their book is, because it doesn't mean that we can't help fiction writers, children's book, writers, poetry, workbooks, things of that sort. We can help any author get published, but we don't do the coaching and mentoring on those types of books. So it's a different program. It's a different message. So I always appreciate everybody who picks up the phone when I call to make sure they have the email. It always goes to junk or spam, number one. And number two, what type of book are you writing? And even if it's just a quick text back, instead of attending the seminar thinking, oh, this isn't for me, I'm not looking to write and leverage a nonfiction book, to hang up, right? So we can help all authors. It's a little different program. The seminar is primarily for nonfiction, but I tell them they're welcome to still attend, because it certainly gives you an idea of who runs the business, right? Who's doing, who's behind the publication, and it's invaluable for everybody, but we have a solution for everybody.
Exactly. There's actually, for the children's and the publishing only clients, I tend to say there's two parts of the seminar that would benefit them. One is the author mindset. So your mindset needs to be right no matter what book that you're authoring.
Yeah.
And also the publishing process. So the publishing process is step by step the same, no matter what book that you write. So to understand what's involved with that is really important. So don't discount yourself if you're actually doing a children's book or a children's book series too. Like if you've actually got an underlying message there for your children. Yes, we don't mentor on how to do those, but the message is you're wanting to leverage the message. A lot of children's books are educational. They are finding out information through fun pictures and stories. So the message or the leverage aspect of a children's book is important too. So there are sections in the seminar that is relevant to those type of books. It's a great it's a great seminar to find out more. You don't know what you don't know, so come along and find out.
Too, there's so much that goes on beyond the publishing program, right? And children's book or poetry, no matter what your genre, Nat runs master classes and workshops, with different membership programs and different packages that involve teaching you. You still need to, sell the book, right? You still need to figure out your social networking and physical in-person networking, pitch and how you're going to do it, because it is self-publishing. So it's really invaluable, even if even for nonfiction, we'll teach you how to sell the book, right? And come up with resources that you can tap into for, creating websites and business cards and things like that. We make those referrals to people that do it all the time. And, I'm always part of private Facebook groups, and I see these poor people struggling with things like, what's an ISBN number? And they're trying to figure that out. And, I feel blessed. I didn't have to figure that out, right? We do that for people. It's tough.
Yeah. And one of the other things, and this is the third question that we've talking about today, that people don't, and we see this in other Facebook chats as well, is, what computer program do I use to write my book? That's going to be the easiest one if I need to hand it over to somebody to work with. And we tell everybody it's Word. It's as simple as Word. There are so many functions in the Word program on your computers that you can use to write your book. So not only obviously it's a Word document that you can type into and select your fonts. You can have a look at your fonts that you want to use for your book. But there are so many functions there that that people aren't aware of. And I can think of obviously the word count. So you can, as you're going along, it will actually tell you an update, not only at the review at the top, but also down at the bottom as you're writing, it will actually give you the words as well. And one of the features that we tell our authors all the time at the end as they're going along is the voice to actually talk your book out to you so that you can hear it. What did you find with Word, Tami, for you?
Yeah, people definitely overthink, what program to use. You're right. We see that all the time in the other groups, and it's just very simple, just Word. And that's that when we send it to editing, as a matter of fact, our editors, that's all they want is a Word document so that they can track the editing changes, right? So I just archived, I think I went through 4 rounds of editing, and it started, we tracked the changes the whole way through, but keep it simple, right? And then on the flip side, right, a lot of people think, oh, I'm ready to go to I'm ready, my manuscript is done, it's ready to go to publication, but there's a layout component that has to be done by a graphic designer that will fit. Typically books are 5x8, 6x9. It's got to be laid out in that format, right? So that when it does go to the publisher for bulk publication, it's properly laid out and they can format it into a hard copy for you. So that was something I didn't realize either.
No. Yeah. And preparing, Word document is so universal. So no matter what country that you're in, you will have accessibility and transferability with using a Word document. It's been around for a long time. It always gets updates, and most people are familiar with Word. And like you say, people think that the Word document that you use for your manuscript is your book. No, it needs to be formatted specifically. And the Word document is easily translated into the layout component or the section of publishing for you.
And be sure to turn on autosave.
Yeah.
Be sure to turn on autosave.
That will save hours of heartache. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not automatically, at least on some versions, right? It's not automatically turned on. And so that can be quite painful, lose hours worth of work, but it's very user friendly. And you're right, it's universal, and don't overthink it. Just, start typing and keep going, and it creates all of the pages. And then that's what the editors want. That's what most editors want.
You mentioned saving, so actually storing your document too. Make sure you don't store it just on your desktop, on your computer. That's a recipe for disaster. Make sure that you either take it away on a USB port that you can plug into another computer, or store it on the cloud. The cloud is, really quite reliable these days. Just so that you can access it, and all of those hours of work you don't have to redo. We hear that all the time, that it was on another computer, but they only did it on the desktop and they've lost it. How disheartening. Well, anyway, so our words are stored on a USB if you're old school, and not wanting to use the cloud. But if you're wanting to use the cloud, the iCloud storage is what I use to keep everything. Like my computer crashed about a month ago, and I'm just so grateful that I had, the iCloud. I could actually log on to somebody else's computer and log into everything that I had, personal, professional, everything was there for me. So, make sure you do have a good backup. Yeah.
I remember one time I had a damaged Word file. I remember that. And that was pretty, detrimental, right? And I had to go back to previous versions and get kind of some help for that. So then I wound up saving it in two places. I wound up saving it on the cloud and in Dropbox, right? So I don't know. Until it was done, until the manuscript was done and in the professional's hands, I kind of had it everywhere just to be safe, right? Because that corrupted file, was really disheartening. So I have no idea what happened, but I mean, technology, right? So save it in multiple places, but definitely not just on your desktop.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
What we might do now, Tami, just as we're wrapping up, is just touch on that author mindset again. What do you think? I know myself, and I'll comment to this in a minute, but what do you think is the most important thing for an author to do to find themselves, to really channel in on, yes, they want to write this book, but to really set their minds up? Each writing session that we do, and we recommend 2 to 4 hours a week, and how you organize that across your week is up to you. But how did you set your mind right? Then you went, yes, 7 to 8 tonight, I'm going to write. How did you frame that up for yourself?
I mean, Nat says that, to schedule it in as if it's, a meeting, right? Either you're a meeting with your employer, a meeting with a client. It kind of depends on what's going on in your life, but set it up and then commit to following through with your promises to yourself, right? And that's it's really got to kind of be one of your top 3 priorities. It's like going to the gym, right? It says the same thing about going to the gym is, you can have all these plans to go to the gym and you never go. So make a plan. We do at Ultimate 48-Hour Author, we do a beginning of day and end of day, and it kind of outlines our activities, our main activities for the day. And then, at the end of day, I go back and I look at, did I show up for everything that, or 90% of everything that I said that I was going to do, right? So make a plan, book it in your calendar, and make it non-negotiable, right? 4 hours a week. One of my writing blocks was on a Saturday, and then the other writing block was on a weeknight. And it didn't seem that intrusive, but it's up to us to show up for ourselves. And if it is one of your top 3 priorities, for me, it was health, family, and writing this book. And like Nat says, it doesn't last forever, right? She says it in the seminar, it's a temporary pain in the butt. So it's no longer one of my top 3 priorities, but it certainly was while I was getting that manuscript out and going through editing. It was, and it deserved it, right? So I really we have that mindset, right? We just really have to commit that it's time for us, right? It's time for us to get our book out there. And this is what I tell authors that I talk to regularly. I'm sure you do too, is they're like, I don't know if I should spend the money on hiring the professionals, or I don't know if people will want to read my book. I don't know if I have time. When you decide that you want to do it and it's important to you, right? It's going to be a couple of months of really making a commitment to getting it done. But how you feel after is so profound, right? Holding that book in your hand is so profound. I wish I could sell it to women that I'm talking to that are not sure if their book idea is good.
Yeah, and that's that belief in yourself and your message, and how valuable that would be for you to get that written and documented and down professionally, but the message that you're wanting to have that ripple effect to others. Ask yourself, how important is my message to be out there into the world? My first book, that was the core reason why I wanted to write the book, because I wanted to share with others, what they were going through in their 40s with lots of things going on in their lives. And I wanted, doesn't have to be all that hard. So, having that reason why you're writing your book is really, really important. The way I framed up myself leading into a writing session was music. Like, music's always something that makes me forget about the last hour, day, whatever, and really frames me up in the mood to be able to get writing. And, you know, if I was going to do a hard piece or something that was quite vulnerable, I'd put on a soft music so that it would actually settle my mind down and be able to go into that space with calm and clarity, and just to be able to sit in that moment and write exactly what I was feeling. Because if I was still, you know, straight from work, got dinner done, got the kids to bed, all that sort of thing, you're still wound up from that. So by, you know, using just a 3-minute song can really do wonders to be able to settle that down so that you can write and think clearly, you know, while you're writing. Yeah. So I'm just watching the clock, and we're time's just about up for everyone. So we hope that the questions have helped you guys. Again, the links are down there below. If you've got questions there, write them out there. If you're watching us live, well, we're nearly finished now, but if you watch the replay, then just write replay underneath it, and we will add your questions to next week and future Q&A sessions. Tami, any last words?
No, but just, you know, let us know if you have any questions. We're happy to book calls, and please come to the seminar next Friday. Next Friday US and Saturday Australia is one of the few that, you're right, 4 times a year, right? Because of retreats. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope it's a big one. But everybody walks away with, everybody comes in with certain questions, and then they leave with completely different questions, right? So
nice. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everyone. And
bye, everybody.
see you next time. Bye.